Hello, I'm back. This is going to be part 12, Rehearsal Pro KMP. And I kind of skipped the last session. I started recording and then I was coughing all over the place. So this is day 11 of COVID 2024. And I'm playing some background music, carbon-based life form, stochastic. Gets a little loud. I don't know. Is that too loud? Probably not. Anyway, I did make a big change while I was gone here. I needed to move not just the line set, but the line scenes. Those are the lines within the set, actually, and I needed to move them into the dead folder as well. So I kind of went back and retrofitted all my commits and actually got a cleaner commit history here. And from the beginning, this is where we break the build. And now we moved line scene and line set source files to dead. We have two commits here where we break the build. I don't usually like commits where builds break, but that way we can see these as just moves. In fact, let's just do get log name status. And that's the main reason right there, is so that without making any code changes at all, I can just see these moves, which get logs as renames. That way, when you do a diff on this, it doesn't get confusing at all. And then these are the actual file changes to the things that were moved, in this case, commenting them out. So we can see we've got line set and line scene. And then, so two commits, the build is broken. The build won't happen here. That's where the big comment is. And then one big commit to comment out everything just to get the build working. So that's what this is, but not yet line scenes and line sets. So in other words, the build is repaired, but the actual features are now broken here. Yeah, there's a lot of changes in there, which we're going through piece by piece and repairing. And then actually some of the foundational stuff that I needed here, the string conversion, the storing files, those have already been committed now into the main branch. So because they just add new features, they don't break anything. So technically, all the way from the break and build to the current changes, these are whip branches still. And that's why this last one here is the 14th whip, rewrite legacy scene view. This is where we're at right now. Anyway, so that's kind of where we stand. All the Kotlin stuff has been checked in that needed to support this is now committed to main. Again, support for the new way of doing the app storage, loading strings, store string as file, because it doesn't break anything. So it's fine to add it to the main branch and commit that. And that's what we got. So that's where we're at. And what have we achieved so far? Well, let's just look at the apps running right now. So we go in, we would look at line sets, right? Line sets are now showing us the title. If we click on it, well, we actually get the line scenes. That's what these are. But the attributes here, the information is not right. So this is where we need to now go pull apart line scenes themselves and fix that. Start pulling attributes from the line scenes. So, whoa, there's that so again. So. That's my main connecting word between thoughts and speaking. Do I need it? Probably not. There's our data line set adapter. So right now, the only thing we're pulling are pulling. Is that the right word? The only thing we're looking at when we click on a line set, we're getting the name, and that comes from here, name. And when we click on it, we get the actual lines. At this point, it's just a collection. So we don't have the line scene, which is what we need. So let's find the first place where we have that and take a look at our breakpoints. Now, This is another gripe about Xcode. It keeps all the breakpoints you've created enabled and disabled. And I was going in here trying to disable a single breakpoint. Where was I? Let's see. I'll give you an example. It's here, and I was like, oh, I wanted to disable it. Okay, so it was enabled. I came in here and I wanted to disable, and my finger slipped and I hit disable other breakpoints, and it disabled every single other breakpoint. So this is a thought I've had about UI design. I see this problem in other aspects, particularly where we have menus, where you have some pretty dramatic options right next to things that are not so dramatic. And just the difference in a mouse position, you get the wrong click and suddenly you do something you really didn't want to do. Perfect example here is when you go to, when you want to pause versus restart. I often want to just pause the desktop, right? Sleep. Pause R really is sleep. But right next to it is restart. Now, generally in Mac OS, you get a prompt if something can't be restarted, but just a slip in the mouse and suddenly you've restarted your computer and shut everything down. I understand the logic of putting related functions together, close together in a menu, but I think some thought should go into the effect of certain options and certain things that you want to do frequently, like sleep your computer, not right next to something you want to do rarely, which is restart your computer, especially considering how dramatic a restart is. Now, some UI designers will generally have a confirmation dialog. In this case, you only get the confirmation or actually a warning of a restart with 10-second countdown sort of thing. If there's usually a process that's hung on that. But I think there needs to be better thought into how these menus are done. This old menu style is kind of clunky anyway. This desktop menu paradigm, I think it just really needs to be rethought. But anyway, back to Xcode. The reason why this was an issue is I go here and I want to, okay, let's disable the breakpoint, and I suddenly, just a little bit slide of the mouse, I disabled all of their breakpoints. Well, there's no option to re-enable the breakpoints, and there's no undo function here. So really good development tools, editors, productivity tools have the notion of a full undo stack for every command that you can execute. In the case of Xcode, if I type a bunch of crap in the editor, I can press Control-Z and I can undo. There's an undo stack within text editing, but none of the actual commands have any kind of undo stack functionality. So I couldn't just oh, I made a mistake. And there is no option to re-enable all the breakpoints. I literally have to manually now go through and click on all of these. Right? There's nothing that says enable all breakpoints. There's just disable all breakpoints. That's not very thoughtful. If I'm going to have a function to disable everything, I should have a function to enable everything. And when you actually go to debug, there are some options for breakpoints, but notice, right? There's no enable all. There's a delete all. There's not even a disable all from the menu here, which is kind of strange. This is not good UI design. Somebody didn't think this through, right? They're adding options that happen in the local pop-up menu that aren't related to this particular breakpoint, right? This is kind of a global effect. Disable all of the breakpoints. But if I go to here where I should see the global options for breakpoints, I don't get that. I have to literally select an existing breakpoint to disable all the other breakpoints. That's just not good design. And then there is a deactivate all breakpoints, which is different from disable. So we have a create a breakpoint, remove a breakpoint, enable it, disable it, activate it, and deactivate. So what happens when I say deactivate, right? These all go gray, but they kind of keep their enabled state. So the idea of activated versus enabled, yeah, clearly this whole notion wasn't thought through too well. this is why I have a suspicion that people at Apple don't dog food their products, right? How many developers does Apple have writing software for them, using their own tools? I don't know. Xcode is not a productive environment. It definitely, the little icons, the little clever little reduced UI, it doesn't, it feels like some designer's idea of how an IDE or a development tool in general should work, not someone who actually does a lot of development, right? I could go on and on. Anyway, let's go back to the debug. Activate breakpoints. See, we activate the breakpoints, but we still have all these others disabled. Look at that. I've got to literally go click, 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 click. Because I made a slip of the mouse, and with one button I can't undo that command that I know of. So, admittedly, I'm not a power user of Xcode. I'm not deep in the tool. It's not where I live and breathe every single day on everything I do. You can see this is the extent at which I use iOS. Only when I'm doing mobile apps. I mean, that I use Xcode. Actually, I do use it for Unreal Engine, but I don't develop inside Xcode. Xcode is just used to do Mac OS builds. I'm typically developing on Windows anyway because, well, let's face it, if you're doing games, that's the dominant operating system, as painful as it is. So let's just re-enable all the breakpoints, and then we'll just disable them opportunistically, and hopefully don't make that mistake again. So let's continue on. So, am I still running? I'm still running. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to hit, now we're going to hit these breakpoints that we just re-enabled. So which ones do we need to worry about? Line set array, get all objects. Okay, we don't need to hit this one because this is that fetch results controller we're not using. We already know this works, and I prefer having the breakpoint inside the function. Let's delete that one. Be careful, don't do the disable all breakpoints. Oh no. We know that works, so let's keep that, but disable it. And this is the last thing that I did. This was a fix to pulling in the line sets. This is what's giving us the list now. Note expects to be sorted. Not worrying about it right now, but I keep this note in here. Okay. Ha, here we go. Did select row. So we're in the line scene reader view, which is the class that kind of manages this section here. And it's handling both the line set header, this is the header cell, and the line scene cells themselves. Notice it's saying line set, and recording and all that's wrong. Okay. So here we're hitting on line scene now. Now, note this comment block is not mine. I probably should have used if-defs. It stands out a little bit more when I'm blocking out comments rather than using the typical C++, Objective-C block. One of the problems with these comment blocks, of course, is that they're not nestable. So when you want to comment out code and you've already got a section of code that's been commented for some other reason, it doesn't work, whereas the if-defs are fully nestable. But then you're dealing with the C preprocessor. Okay, so I said it again. What's interesting is this commented out block here, line scene is synced. Again, that's an old comment. I didn't put that one in there. How do I know? I can look at the commit where I comment things out just to be sure. Yeah, I should have used if-def so it would have been easier to see. Let's log again. So There's the repair build. This is where all the commenting out happens. This is where all this stuff was created. So man, do I say that a lot. Git show this particular commit, and I like to create what I call out files. It's kind of my standard approach. Whoa. Prefix it with out, git show dot out. And I have dot out as just assigned to open up in the editor. And these out files will show up like that. There we go. Out get show dot out. So I can just gvim out get show dot out. I can keep that up here. I just want to confirm that this guy here is line synced, is line scene synced. Let's see if we see that. Is line scene synced. Right. So this comment was there before. This is what I added. Here is the comment block that I added to fix this code. Don't know what's going on here. Problem is we get these trailing spaces. And I changed my Vim colors to now show trailing spaces as solid characters so I can see them. Sometimes when you simply edit, these things get removed or they get added. It's not a problem from the standpoint of the source, but it does make the diffing a little annoying. Okay. Do I need any of this? The sync stuff I don't need right now. I'm assuming everything's synced. Yeah, I'll be wrapping back around and dealing with the syncing issue, which is the main bug that we have to solve. This whole endeavor is to deal with the synchronization bug. I mean, it's the main purpose, but rather than simply fixing old legacy code, I decided to rewrite line scenes and line sets because they have to be written for the Android side anyway. And sometimes part of understanding how code works is to rewrite it or refactor it. I don't really consider this a refactor. Well, from the user's point of view, nothing's going to change. So technically it is a refactor from the user's point of view. But it's a complete rewrite of how these domain objects in the new functional approach, domain data structures, are going to be managed by storing them as the textual dictionary converted from JSON representation rather than storing them in a relational database. That's a big change internally. That's why this has been such a big effort to bite this off. And hypothetically, once this is working, and it seems to be working, then a lot of momentum can be built up to replace all the others. And then core data goes away completely on iOS. And then it becomes a single solution between both platforms where we're just storing these data structures as text files. Okay. What's going on here? Show alert from top controller with tile. To play this line, enable it by tapping it on its check mark. So this is an important part of the UI. All I really need to do here is just provide this is unchecked value. Let's see what that looks like. We're going to look at the dead folder, align scene, its properties. There it is unchecked. It's a number. Now, what does it actually look like in the JSON? There we go. Okay. So yeah, it is a JSON attribute. So the nice thing about that is here's all the attributes that we care about. And all we need to do is return their values. But we're going to keep it pretty much the same. Display name, audio file name. I see the difference. Okay. I'm going to copy this over. We're going to go ahead and create on the Kotlin side. So we added data line set. We're going to duplicate that and make a data line scene. I'm not re-abstracting any of this stuff. I'm keeping it with the same abstractions and the same names. Although I did change display name to name on line set and line set. But perhaps for line scene, I'll keep it the same. All right, so there's our data line scene and our documentation we just copied in. That's what that looks like. What do we need right now? We need is unchecked. So data line is unchecked. Which is NH. NH. Now, are we going to make a bool out of this? I don't know what unchecked means exactly. Boolean. Boolean. It's the default to false. And I'm going to pause. Okay, resuming. Where are we at? We need unchecked. All right. So data line scene, unchecked. The is kind of dumb. Which I already put in there, NH. I guess we should do the name as well. Yeah. Let's just do name and unchecked. I know we're always going to need all these attributes. We could code them all right now, but let's just do it one by one. Display name was NN. Name, I'm going to keep it as name. Audio file name, we don't, yeah, name is fine. String, oops. It's funny, I typed below and then I just retyped it up here. Okay, Boolean, false. I could have just copied that over. String and did I just completely redo what I didn't need to redo? It's silly. Silly, silly, silly. Okay, so name and unchecked. This returns Boolean. Now it's coming in as a number. It's not really coming in as a Boolean. According to well, it's a number in core data. Is it a number in JSON? I don't know what it looks like in JSON. This is just a map of any. It's going to try to coerce it to Boolean and see what happens. Huh. Yeah, data line set is supposed to be seen. Well, let's see if this works. Of course, it's going to default to false, so there's no way to be sure that it's going to produce the right value unless I need to trap this as here. See if the conversion is going to fail. Yeah. Yeah. There's going to be no way to know. that it worked or not worked without looking at the actual data itself. Unless it converts it to true. Actually, that's one way to test it. Just change the default. We'll see if it succeeds or fails. So that's loud. Too loud for background music. It's down to 10 now. Okay, yep. So our core properties. Where's the file we were at? We weren't in here. We're still running, right? We're here. There we are. Okay. We can remove this whole thing. We're gonna change this to the facade, or not the facade, the adapter. Data line seen. I'm gonna say unchecked. Bool value. Interesting. Huh. I think this is what we have to do. Right. Okay, so should make it a separate file. It's gonna be a lot of little files here. I don't like having so many files, and these are just gonna be adapters. Let's rename this and put them all together. Should we just call it data? Kind of hate the fact that I'm calling it data. It's such a generic overloaded term. It could mean, I mean, everything is data, technically. Domain? Domain might be better. That's a very generic term, but it has a pretty well-defined meaning in software. Although there are multiple domains, it typically implies problem domain. The subject matter. Domain ends up being an entire layer often. Entire collection hierarchy of classes in an OO sense, but I'm not doing OO. I'm going to be doing a bunch of data structures. Domain. Data. And then you've got DOM in the web side of the world, which is short for document object model, but it almost sounds like domain. This is user data. It's not the user. It's the subject matter. I'm getting caught up in name issues. I don't want to call it data. Let's rename it to domain. Yeah, I'm going to rename it to domain. What if I say domain line set? It's better than data line set. I used to have entire layers called domain. but domain line scene, domain line set. Yeah, these should go into a single file as well. I don't want to have a lot of little files there's no reason for that. They can all be clustered together. These are just accessors. There's not going to be any methods in here. Well, there could be calculations. They're still pure. Line scene, line set. Too many files. What's the advantage of breaking things into small files? Reducing the granularity of files for changes? Well, we don't care about that. Version control and Git with diffing and commits. Yeah, I think too many projects have too many files. I mean, there's already a lot of files. There's already a bunch of different folders and layers and files. That's one of the problems with this project. I mean, take a look at this. For a single entity, it's broken up into multiple files. Beat marker, blah, 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 bookmark, blah, 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 comment, blah, 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 highlight, blah, 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 scene, blah, blah. I mean, look at all those files. That's not even all of them. Go into Swift for core data, and we've got more. A single class broke up across files. That's just a dumb way to organize stuff. It's hard to find. It's excessive cognitive load, in my opinion. Not to mention there's just too much code here. I mean, that's not so bad, but that's not so bad. But you get into one of these big guys. Well, again, look at that. It's not even that much. It's just declarations. Why did there need to be a separate file for that? It's probably part of the core data architecture, right? It's like you're supposed to follow this. That's got a lot in it. But when these are all going to be pure, they're just going to be informational. So it's fairly cohesive. These aren't classes. These aren't data structures. There aren't dependencies between them, except for when one contains another. So it's a containment dependency. Yeah, there's no advantage to having all these separate files. So entity is another word that gets used a lot. That comes from thinking of things in terms of data. Although in the simulation world, entities are much more than data. But ERD, entity relation, or entity relation design, entity relation diagram, the predecessor to OO. When you were modeling data strictly that way, they would say entities. Entity makes it sound like it's living. Entity line set name. Also, it's not going into a relational database. Then I want to think about it as an entity. If you use the terminology JSON, it stands for JavaScript object notation. We're back to thinking of them as objects. I mean, that is the actual literal term of a top level JSON declaration, is it's an object. That's what you have in JSON. You either have a value, an object, or an array. So one of the things that makes it really awkward to parsing. Nice thing about Lisp, everything's a list is within a list and a list and a list and a list, mostly. Then you have atoms, then you have pairs. Okay, well, maybe it's not quite the same. I'm leaning towards domain here. So instead of data line set, they can rename this whole thing domain. Domain objects, domain data. Data-driven design. Data. Data is just too generic. I don't want to call it data. It's domain data, but I'm going to call it domain. That's what we're going to do. We're going to rename this. All right, let's see where we're at. So data line scene, that's fine, but we're going to rename. Data line set. We're just going to call it domain. And see, there's already a data script, so we've already got multiple datas here, right? Just put them all in one file. Is that too big? Is it going to be too big? We don't really have that many distinct entities in rehearsal. And this is the totality of them. I've already moved 2 of them down. We have scripts, scenes, scroll position. I don't know that that's even all that important. It doesn't even have JSON, so it's not coming from the back end. So the only things coming from the back end are here. This really doesn't look like it even comes from the back end. That's something else. So we've got scripts. There's script JSON. Oh, that's interesting. I'm not seeing the oh, it looks like this is a little bit older where stuff's hard-coded in here. Okay. Excuse my cough. Sorry. So scenes, highlights, comments, bookmarks, beat markers. Again, this is metadata. The core data in rehearsal are the scripts themselves, which are PDF files, and audio files, and video files. So it's mostly a multimedia application. This is just descriptive information. It's meta information on top of that. Metadata. I could call it metadata. Nah. Let's stick to domain. We're going to call it domain. And we're going to shove it all in one file. We kind of have most of the application logic in one file. App flow. Just freestanding functions all in one file. Sometimes that's quite convenient. Yep. This experiment, this is something I wouldn't have done in the past, thrown all these data declarations and structures into a single file. But part of the goal of the project is pushing to the other extreme from what I'm used to and to figure out where the balance point is. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to rename data script to domain. And we're going to move data line set in there because data script is the older file. So whenever I do renames, the first thing I do is I commit just the rename itself. Let's make a new branch here. Dev. I guess we're just let's just call it dev domain. It's -b. That's really what's happening on this side. B, I meant A, but that's okay. B is fine. And we're renaming. So, yep. Source, common main. Actually, let's just go ahead and sit in that directory and make it a little easier for ourselves. All right. Let's go to pure. Okay. So get add domain. Get add. I need to add the thing that was there before, data script KT. So this just shows us a rename. So I want to do just the rename. Yep. Rename data script to domain. Just KT. Let's make sure we pure. Yeah, keep tapping that caps lock. Don't really enjoy coding too much on this MacBook keyboard. Pure data script to domain. All right. do the rename first. So we got that. Next, we are going to rename the class itself, domain script. And this is where it's going to percolate and break the build. And because there are things that depend on it. So let's see what happens. Domain script. Yeah. Now I could use the IDE to replace this occurrence everywhere, but I like to do it manually because I want to see where it is. Script, domain script. Here I can just do a search and replace, which I will. Data script, domain script. Oh, it's all in the same file, obviously. All right, not too many dependencies. There we go. Well, actually, there's test code in here that's depending on it. I don't know if I have the test set up. Let's see what happens. It should break because there is no data script. It is now. Oh, I had to make this large. Let's move this back. Well, it didn't have a problem building, but it did fail. Add new script samples, open fake script. Let's just do a search for data script and see where else it's being used. The test code might be all the way up at the top. Coughing again, sorry. Okay, that was a yucky cough. What happened to my music? It's not continuing on. I got a playlist here. What's going on? I know I'm not at the end. Yeah, up on my playlist. Continue. Oh, do. What was I doing? Yeah, we just pop up one level. All right, let's do a fine grep. KT. Data script. I guess we got it all. Okay. We're going to make this a separate commit. Let's go back to where we were. Common main pure. It's all in pure. Nice. Let's check again. Git add domain. Git add app state. Those the only places we changed? Yeah, looks like it. App state remove inbound script. Domain script. Seems like it worked. Rename. Pure data script to domain script. Yeah, I like domain better. I like it. I think that works. We need to push these both up. Git push dash u get lab head. Yes, we did a separate commits, but there's a reason for that. So now we can see the isolated actual renames versus git show and just the rename. Always do those as separate commits. But the bigger change is we're going to move data line set. We're going to move this into that file. So goodbye. And data script, data line set's going to go, we're going to do this alphabetical. We're going to move that in, and then we'll add the other one as new. I'm not gonna do this. Yeah, this is a to-do. This is a to-do. Yeah. These will get replaced. Okay. And instead of data, it's domain. There is no data structure called domain. Like there is no data class here like there is for domain script. I may even get rid of this data class at some point. Yeah, create fake script, domain script. Yeah, okay. Domain line set lines, domain line set name. So we're copying over, we're getting rid of data line set. So rm data line set. Right? Git add. Data line set. Git add domain. So we moved this into here and we renamed it. Yeah, domain is better. I like having it in one file. I don't think it's going to be that big. I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. Maybe it's a better approach in development to start with fewer files and then break them up when they get too big rather than the other way around. Yeah, too many little pieces. The brain can process 7 plus or minus 2 things at a time. It's a better cluster. Definitely been changing my point of view on these things over the years. The default in modern development, particularly in the OO fashion, is to lots of little bits and pieces all over the place. I mean, you saw that in the core data. It just assumes you could have the smallest core data class and suddenly you've got 5 files. Properties, class, JSON, separate files, extensions, lots of little bits. It's too much. This may be the other extreme, but we're going to start big and break it up if we need to. Because I do not fear change. Move data line set functions. I do like to make it clear, pure, yeah. Data line set functions into main.kt and rename them. Yeah, when I change the font, it doesn't reset. It doesn't reset the terminal width. This is why I have this problem. I changed the font for video. Probably if I restarted the terminal, it might do that. I'm not going to bother with that right now. Rename them from data ... to domain ... Are my commits overly verbose? Well, it summarizes what I did here. I like verbose commits. And the data line scene, we're not even going to add. We're just going to add, as a separate file. All right, let's see this builds. We're on the tests. Let's go back to this, the app. Okay. So now we'll take this and simply copy it in. And we don't need a separate file. Yep. And line seen, line set. Boom. To do. I like putting my 3. That's my refactor signature. 3 @ 3 pounds is hack. 3 ats is refactor. 3 $signs is probable performance bottleneck, and 3 exclamation parts is just take notice. And we're not calling it data, we're calling it domain. Oh, I didn't rename the this. So domain is a qualifier, a domain line seen. This is just a chunk. Should we call it dictionary? I mean, that's what it is. Dict? I don't like calling it data. I think dict isn't bad. I mean, we see we're using the Kotlin map type, which is the same as a dictionary. But that's the way to think about this. This is a dictionary. I think I'll call it dict. Not data. Yeah. Domain line seen. Let's rename this down here too. Dict. I mean, it makes it a little easier to read because I can see immediately what I'm talking about. I'm referencing a key in a dictionary. Yeah, I like that as dict. Don't really like having parameters and variable names where it's like string, type is string, and string. Prefer to give names that are give more semantic meaning, but this really is what this is. It's just a dictionary. Or could I say line set? Well, it's not. Is it the line set? It's the dictionary that contains the data that we assume is a line set. So I don't really want to say line set because it isn't. It's making an assumption about its content. There's no type enforcement here. The type enforcement is that this is a dictionary / maps. Let's just call it dictionary. I think it's the better way to go. All right. And let's see what we get with that. And it compiles. Of course it does, because it's not doing anything special. Let's push this up. Git push GitLab. All right. And add a domain. We don't need data line set. Line seen, gone. And git def, just a change. So here we've added domain line seen functions. And we renamed the dict parameter, but who cares? So add domain, pure domain, that's what I call it, pure domain. Functions, domain line seen, name, and it's a dictionary. Domain line seen unchecked. All right, I'm not going to commit this yet because we need to test that this Boolean is going to work the way we expect it to. Add pure domain functions, domain line seen unchecked. Okay, I opened a bunch of files here I did not need to open. Script, line scene properties. Let's keep that open because we're probably going to need it. Script scenes, scroll pause. There we go, line scene bookmark. Don't care about that. Okay, we're going to rename stuff on this side. We did the rename on the other side. So this is a bigger deal because any changes to the project content here is going to change the project file. It doesn't happen to be the case on the Kotlin side. Simply adding and removing files doesn't change the build configuration over here, but it does change it here. We're going to rename this. Should we rename it from the IDE? Let's try that. Let's see what happens. Can we rename it from here? I think we can rename it. Let's see what happens if I say domain Swift. Did it rename the file itself? It did. Okay. And it should have affected the project file. So get diff. Yeah, there we go. Data line set domain. So this is just a straight up rename. So we're going to do that again. Straight up rename. Okay, we're on our whip. So this is a change that I want to make prior to all this other stuff, but I'm just going to make it an isolated commit, and then I'll rebuild the commits. See where I originally created data line set down here? So yeah, this is kind of whip code from here on up. Reorganize it later. All right, we're going to add this. We're going to add the elimination of this. It's a rename to domain. Just a rename. Oh, we already changed it inside. Should we keep that as part of the rename? No, I don't like that. I want to rename it separately. Data line set. Let's just keep this the same. Yeah, let's just keep it as a rename. Rename pure data line set Swift to domain.swift. That's all this is. Just a rename. Isolated commit. All right, get push, get lab. Now we're going to actually change its, because it's going to break other code elsewhere. So this is going to be called domain line set and domain KT. This is where it's going to be found. And the functions are renamed. And I'm going to change data to dict. Dict. Because that's what this actually is. It's actually a dictionary. That's the Swift representation of a dictionary, of this particular template instantiation, which is string key and any value. Because a dictionary can be any types, can be different types on both sides. Keys can be different types, values can be different types. So not all of them are going to be strings and any's, but these dictionaries that are mapped from JSON are going to be strings and any's. Name value pairs, key value pairs, lots of different things that are called. Build. We're going to get some breakage. Let's see where the breakage is. On the code that uses this, should break. We should get some errors. Give us errors. Yep, can't find that because that's not what it's called. It's now called, where is this? Oh, because I changed. Yeah, I changed the Kotlin side. This is Swift code that's able to access it without going through an adapter. Domain script, okay. It's pretty simple. Oh, because the file itself is just domain script. Well, that's a little tighter. Domain script. So giving me the same error again. This is one of those build cache problems. Or is it? Is it because I didn't? It needs to rebuild. Obviously, the pod was rebuilt with these renames, but I think the solution here is to just clean the build folder and start again. The rebuild. How long are we recording here? I'm gonna take a break for lunch in about in about 5 minutes. Or actually, it's my breakfast. I'm breaking my fast, so it's a breakfast. Just get one more break. Here we go. Data line set. Exactly what we expected. So, domain line set. Right. Okay. We added the new one. I don't really want to add this code yet. I want to do the rename by itself. Domain line scene. Let's do a stash. Well, let's just try this, see what happens. Data line set becomes domain line set. All right, line scene, did you mean line set? Right, because this is new code. So let's do a diff. Let's copy this. Get status. Line scene reader view M. We're going to do this. We're going to copy. We're going to save our current work. Next. And then we're going to do a git checkout of that original file. There we go. That's what I wanted. I'll have to refix these things. This is one. Yeah, there we go. Domain line set. Domain line set. And get this rename in place. Okay. Oh, we got these weird breakpoints all over the place. When was this? Save server scenes in groups. I don't think I need these breakpoints. Oh, I was trying to catch this JSON parsing problem. Okay. Breakpoints are in weird places. Line set number of objects. We fixed that already, so that's good. Chosen section. Yeah, we don't care about this. Sync stuff. Current script, that's fine. Remember, I had to re-enable all the breakpoints that I had disabled. Line scene header cell. Do I care about any of this? I don't think I have to fix any of this. This one's already done. I need that because of that. Got it. This was part of update logic. Yeah, I have to re-disable all the things that I meant to disable. Okay. Chosen section, I don't care about that. Actually, let's keep that intact. You know, I didn't put in my little marker there, which I prefer to do, but let's not worry about it for now. Okay, good. That's good. I do a rename, and that's going to be the end of this video for now because I'm going to have breakfast. Not too bad. Okay. So get admin, pure. Get add legacy. Do I need to change all the legacy stuff? Well, obviously that other one I don't want. Let's just do this. Actually, yeah, add legacy. But I don't want this new one. Get reset. Let's take a look at this. Data line set became domain line set. Data line set became domain line set. Data line set became domain line set. Perfect. So previously we renamed the files. Now we're going to commit rename pure data line set to domain line set. That's what we're doing, right? Data line set, domain line set, data line set, domain line set, data line set, domain line set. And git push GitLab. And now we can rename this back. So we're going to say rm, get rid of the current one. Move that to that. Now we've got a diff, which is the next thing we're working on. I will need to add the domain line scene to here. Actually, let's go ahead and just do that. And do it real quick. Yeah. Domain line scene. And I think we have name and unchecked, right? I don't even be able to test this right away. Okay, I'm not gonna take a break for breakfast yet. Let's do this and see what we get. We'll make some progress here. Unchecked, whatever that means. Our dictionary comes in. Line scene name. We're gonna get a string. Line scene unchecked. Result. bool. Domain line seen, domain line set. There we go. Those are two adapters. Readable, symmetrical. I like it. And we're in line scene reader view. All right, let's get. Don't need that. Don't think we need this right now. Don't think we need that. Let's just see if it compiles. It compiled. Line scene reader view, line 612. This whole tabbing, this whole keeping track of the open files. I don't even know why I'm doing this much editing inside Xcode. Honestly, I pretty much prefer to do it from Vim. Nice thing is I've got the Vim bindings in Android Studio. Maybe there's a way to set up Vim bindings here. But I mean, if I just open this file in Vim, it's under UI view, line set reader view M. Oh, that's interesting. Double click takes it straight here. Okay. No, it's wrong file. Oops, wrong file. Reader view, Vim. And 612. 612. There we go. Yeah, I got a breakpoint there. Now, I changed this one because I thought I hit this breakpoint. Did I hit this breakpoint? Oops, wrong one. Boom, boom. I don't need this breakpoint to be enabled. Let's keep going. Table view is editing. Here we go. So I click on it, it's going to come down to this guy. If unchecked line scene, show alert. And domain line scene, or line scene. Let's see what that looks like. This is the dictionary representation. All right. God, this debugger sucks. It's like, show me the actual content. It's so terrible. Yeah. Sometimes it'll show you the dictionary, sometimes yeah. It's so useless. It's so useless. Well, I can look at the content, or I can simply change the result and see what happens. All right, well, let's see where it goes. So right now it thinks unchecked is false, which either means that it really is false or it hit the default of being false. So now we're going to change the default to true. We know that particular line won't change. So if it happens to be true, then the conversion to Boolean is probably failing. And it's not really a Boolean. It's a number. And in order to actually look at the full dictionary, I have to put a breakpoint at the retrieval of it. Of course, I could look at the file. There is a file there, internally stored. We get there. Get there. Yeah, it's failing. It's failing to convert it to Boolean. That's what's happening. Yeah, it's failing to convert it to Boolean. So this is not working. It's not a Boolean. What is it? I could put some logging in here. I can't really debug Kotlin from Xcode. And I don't have test code on this side where I'm actually doing a network call from Android to see how the data comes down. So I need to see what the source code looks like, which I don't know why it won't show me line seen. Why won't it show that to me? It's so annoying. Is it because it's on the Objective-C side? I need to trap it on the... What if I put a breakpoint? I wonder if I can get better visibility if I put a breakpoint in here. I'm going to get... Yeah, let's see what happens if I do that. Okay. What does that look like? Can I see it? Now that it's as swift? There we go. Now I can see it. Ha! Ha! Ha ha ha! Yeah, the debugger doesn't work so good when it's Objective-C. Okay. NF, which one is it? This is NH. I lost a little pop-up. I hate doing this as these stupid pop-ups. There we go. NH. What type of value is it? Tagged pointer string 0. So, tagged pointer string versus just a string? What the fuck's a tagged pointer string? What does Kotlin think this is? This is an NSCF string. Tagged pointer string. Well, now the problem is I have no idea. I guess this is another Boolean. Boolean value 1, Boolean value. Well, let's just test for 0 and test for 1. Let's see if it comes down as a string. And as string. So this is going to be a weird sort of expression. I'm going to test for 1, but the way the Elvis works, I think I have to do that. And then the default we're going to make false. Actually, let's make the default true, because it looks like the value is false. Right? Didn't we see this? We looked at it. Yeah, we looked at this, and it's actually a 0. There it is. It's a tagged pointer string. I have no idea what that is. Is that their version of an enumeration? Let's assume it gets converted to a string. We're going to default it to true. So if it converts from 0, it should work. So we're going to do that. And then we're just going to say equals 1. We'll change the default after to be false, but this is going to be how we test this. So one of those data conversion issues. All right. Let's see what we get. I'll just assume it's going to handle all Booleans the same way. All right, doop, doop, doop. We don't need that. So we got false. That worked. Because had that worked. It treated it as a string. Because if this had failed, if this conversion failed to string, I would have defaulted to 1, which is true. I would have compared against 1, which would be true. And then I would have ended up inside here because this was a true statement. And it didn't. It didn't hit the default. So we'll change the default to 0. So that worked. I assume this will be the common way Booleans are represented in the dictionary from JSON. Doesn't JSON have a Boolean false true? Not a JSON expert either. All right, we're going to keep that like that. So Boolean. This will be the standard conversion from Boolean. Maybe that's not done consistently everywhere, but that seems to be working here. Unchecked line scene. Domain line scene, unchecked line scene. Unchecked means unchecked. Interesting. Yeah. We don't need this breakpoint anymore. Thank you. That was helpful. And we're still false, which we should be. 0 is 0. Zeta is 0. So I'd say this little nitty bit is done. I like it. Good. Goody, good. We'll keep these old breakpoints in there, but yeah. One successful little conditional resolved. And I believe we didn't push the latest here. Let's see. Yeah, pure domain functions, good. I didn't push it up, so I can amend this commit. And I'm not going to push it up yet because as I continue on this work, I'll be doing a lot more. Git commit amend. And that's how we're treating the Booleans. If it's 0, 1, and a string. What do we got over here? Rename pure domain to domain line set. What is this? Xcode crashed? Nice. Sure, reopen it. What'll happen to my Xcode? Yikes. Okay. Fine. All fine. We're just going to save this. Are we going to push it and treat it as a whippity whip whip? I think we're going to. I want legacy. Main. Actually, let's just get rid of these out files. We don't need them right now. Goodbye. Now get star. There we go. Get it. We got that. We got that. All right. And this is a whip. We call it whip 15. created domain line scene adapter and used it. Not pushing these, but saving inside the commit. So other than the rename, this is the only new thing we did. I think we have about 50 of these. No, probably more that need to be fixed. So this is the old code. Line scene was a domain object, a core data object sitting on top of a relational database. Now this line scene is simply a dictionary. And to get its value, it's simply passed through this facade to the Kotlin side, to our little domain that pulls a value out of the dictionary. That's good for now. I wish you the best of luck.